KB here today to make another YouTube video, and in today's video, guys, I'm hoping to add to the conversation that Jennifer Lynx started in her recent video. So her recent video was all about pet tubers and owning a ton of animals and how that impacts the pet community as a whole. Okay, real quick, I forgot to mention, please go watch her video first. Make sure you watch that, read the comments a little bit if you want, comment your own opinion, because that's what I'm basing this video off of, is kind of like a response to hers. And then also you can watch Tyler Rugge's video. His was very interesting from the perspective of the person with a lot of pets and a pet tuber, like a big pet tuber. So make sure you go watch those two videos, and if you want to come back and watch mine, that would be great. So basically, I've been wanting to make a video about this topic for a while, but I didn't know how to tackle it. And I think basing it off of her video is a perfect way for me to add to it, because I am coming from the perspective as someone who grew up watching Pettube. I grew up on Pettube. Like, I watched Pettube religiously, like nonstop, about animals. And I am now a small channel myself, so I feel like I kind of have a different perspective from Tyler Rugge and Jen, because I was 12, 11, you know, I was at that age, and for 5 years I really watched Pettube and was impacted by it. Just to be clear, this is not me trying to step on anybody's toes or trying to offend anybody. This is me just trying to like have a conversation and give perspective of someone who is young watching Pettube and how that impacted my pets and me as a whole, and how it can impact a lot of other kids, and my perspective from someone who has seen it impact other kids. Keep in mind I am 18 now, so yeah. I also don't watch Pettube as much, if I'm being totally honest. There are only a couple creators that I watch religiously. And just to put that out there, I am not a perfect pet owner. I am not putting myself up on a pedestal. I have definitely fallen into the category of glamorizing owning a ton of pets. I try to always make it known that it isn't for everybody, and I always try to make sure people know, like, owning a lot of pets is not something to aim for, but I definitely can see how maybe some of my content can come off that way, and I definitely have fallen into that. And I also have fallen into the rhythm of feeling like you have to have a ton of pets to be a pet tuber or to be a pet owner, a pet lover, and all that. So I just want to make that very clear. Also, just to be clear, I know that I can always improve upon my animals' care and all that. Like, again, I'm not perfect. I'm always trying to improve, always trying to grow, always try and take care of my animals to the best of my ability. So yeah. So the first topic that she kind of brought up was that Pettube and creators that own a ton of animals kind of glamorize hoarding.
So the first thing I've noticed is that sometimes I feel like Pettube has the effect of glamorizing or glorifying animal hoarding. You know, I feel like it just portrays to the viewer this idea that it's okay to have something like 50 or more animals on your own.
Now, I don't think it glamorizes hoarding, but I think it can cause people to become hoarders. So I think most of the channels, like the very popular channels on this platform, are good owners. There are a few that I can think of that are not, but a lot of pet tubers really love and take care of their animals. But that is also because basically their full-time job, their business, or they breed, or they do something else, so they have the time for those animals. Where I think it lacks, and I think we're getting better with like communicating to our audiences, is that people, especially younger kids, will watch these videos of people with a lot of pets and want the same thing. Me growing up, I watched a ton of Pettube, like I said, and I wanted a ton of animals. I wanted a ton. And at one point, I had my guinea pigs, I had 3 mice enclosures, because I had 4 females and 2 males in separate enclosures, and then I had my old hamster. So I had a ton of animals in a very small space, which was my old bedroom, and I was also a kid in middle school, and it really did impact me because I didn't take care of my animals all that well back then. I mean, they had improper enclosures, they had a proper diet, they just didn't get that enrichment from me because I didn't have time to interact with them all. So that's one thing to consider, and I see that especially in younger kids who will message me on Instagram, and they'll be like, "Hi, I love your channel, I want pets," and they'll be like, "I already have this and this." And let's just say it's a rabbit and a hamster. They're like, "I already have a rabbit and a hamster." And they're like, "And I want guinea pigs." And so oftentimes what I'll say to those younger kids is I'll say, focus on your hamster and your rabbit, really expand their enclosures. There is a lot you can do with them. Because then you look at pictures of their current animals' enclosures and they really aren't either the greatest, or they could be better, or they could be improved upon. Or they don't even meet the minimum requirements. And I see that all the time, where little kids will message me, send me photos of cages that are way too small for certain animals and be like, is this okay? And I'll be like, no, it's not okay. And they'll be like, but I really want this, but I already have this. And I'll be like, don't get the new animal, focus on your current animal. You don't need to be cramming any more animals into your space. I hope that makes sense, because I see it. I see it with little kids where they are getting animals that they just can't take care of and is too much for them, or they can't even care for their current ones properly. But again, they want a lot because they see pet tubers who they look up to having a lot of animals. That is purely why. It's how they think they're gonna emulate and be like that pet tuber. So I definitely think that it can glamorize hoarding, or encourage it, or just encourage people to own more animals than they should. But one thing I will say is Pettube is getting a lot better at putting disclaimers at the beginning of their videos that this is not for everybody. Owning a ton of animals is not for everybody. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time. I think that's really good. What I think would be good is if these Pettubers started showing their daily routine videos. I film a lot of daily routine videos often because I want people to know how much work it is and I want to show them, and I feel like pet tubers who have like 50 plus animals should do that too. I know it would take a lot of work to film that kind of video, but it would really put into perspective how much work it is and how much time it does take. So that's something else to consider. I personally think daily routine videos are a perfect way of showing how much work it truly is. So this is just adding to something Tyler Ruggie said in his own video, and that was how if you end up with a lot of animals, that isn't like his fault or his responsibility. That's on you. But I think one thing you need to consider as an influencer is the influence you have. That's why you're called an influencer, and how you can influence younger kids. And I think you need to take into perspective is when you have a larger following, and that large following is because you have a ton of animals and because of your personality and because of who you are, that can definitely come off to younger kids and younger people and people who just want to fit in. Like, I want to aim for that, I want to shoot for that, and that is why I feel like it's really important to be very open about how much work it is to be owning these animals and how much effort it truly does take. And I thought I would just mention that as well, because I definitely do think as a YouTuber you do have an influence. Now this part is in regards to her talking about how pet tubers get new pets and it seems like a race to the bottom.
In case you haven't noticed, the pet-related videos that usually have done the best historically on this platform in terms of watch time, views, and engagement are the videos where the content creator is either buying or unboxing a new pet.
Where people are just getting new pets and it's potentially becoming too much work for that pet owner and that pet tuber. And I definitely somewhat agree with this, because there are some pet tubers that have a lot of pets and take care of their pets brilliantly and do a great job and can handle those animals, because most of them are reptiles. I mean, if you're somebody who has 50 rabbits and guinea pigs, okay, that's a lot. Like, you should not be able to handle all that, in my opinion. Like, that's a lot of work. That would probably make me question it. But these pet tubers primarily have reptiles and maybe a couple small rodents. So that's something else to consider, is they are reptiles and they don't require as much hands-on care and daily care. Snakes only eat like, what, every couple of weeks? So that's something else to think about, is some of them, they're not that difficult to take care of. But that is not to say that it isn't a race to the bottom, because I can think of plenty of pet tubers who are constantly getting new animals, and if you look on their channel, their enclosures do not meet basic needs. I can think of one off the top of my head who's pretty popular and gets a lot of views, and whenever you scroll in the comments, there are comments being like, this enclosure like isn't appropriate at all for this animal, and the person like doesn't care because they're just trying to get more animals to keep their views up. So that's something else to consider. And there definitely are the pet tubers who get an animal and film videos with it and then rehome it. That one thing that I thought was interesting that she spoke about was how getting reptiles should be more of a bigger deal, or animals that live 10 plus years should be like a bigger deal. And I agree. I think that bringing home reptiles that live 20 plus years should be a very big decision to make, because you really need to consider, do you want to be 40, 50 taking care of all these reptiles still? And I think we definitely do need to start considering that more and thinking about what that commitment means, because it's easy to think about it when you're young, thinking, okay, yeah, I can take care of these animals, but when you have potentially a family in the future or a full-time job, or who knows what could happen in your life, will you really want to still own that many? Like, I'm not saying you can't own a couple, but I definitely do think we should make it a bigger decision regarding that. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. And this is also in regards to people bringing home animals that live 10 plus years. You kind of fall into this moment where all you're thinking about is, oh, I'm gonna bring home this new animal, because it's kind of addictive, you know? It's like so much fun, so exciting. You get like a rush, a feeling, like it's fun. Bringing home a new animal is fun. And then on top of that, you're gonna get good views off of that video. So you also know that filming videos with this animal is gonna bring you in new views. And then on top of that, you're gonna make more money. So you kind of forget about the long term of things. You kind of fall into this bubble where all you're thinking about is that moment then and getting that animal then, rather than really putting into perspective the long term. Is the money you're gonna make off of this YouTube video really worth 20 years and maybe this animal needing to be rehomed later on, because your life is going to change in the future? Again, to make it clear, it's okay if you have a couple snakes, a couple leopard geckos, but 20, 40 reptiles, that's quite a bit to own, especially whenever they live so long. And then this is in regards to her saying that we should start following people with less pets and supporting them more. I personally disagree with this, because a lot of these people with a lot of pets have done so much good for the community. I personally don't watch a lot of them, but you can see how much good they've done. The reason why I know how to take care of my leopard geckos so well is because of Jessica Animals, is because I found her videos and she inspired me to get a leopard gecko, and her care videos were a great intro and a great building block to learning how to appropriately care for leopard geckos. Or Skinny Pigs 1 is a perfect example of somebody who has a larger amount of guinea pigs, because in my opinion 10, I think at one point she owned 10, and that's quite a bit. But she is the reason why I take care of my guinea pigs the way I do. She is the reason my animals don't live in pet store cages anymore. She inspired me to do my research and learn at a young age how to appropriately care for my animals. So these people with a lot of pets, we should support them if they're giving their animals quality care, if they are educating people, and if they are clearly passionate about their animals and are making it known how to take care of these animals and spreading awareness. I think that is what we should be focusing on. What we should start watching less of is the people that own a ton and don't take care of them. So I think we should be supporting people who take care of their animals and educate people. That is who I think we should be supporting and watching and subscribing to. We should not be supporting people who don't want to improve and all that. I personally think Pettube and larger creators with larger animals do a great service to the pet community. So I definitely think that Pettube as a whole does a very good thing, but again, it does have its parts where they could do better. And I definitely do think it can inspire people to start owning too many animals, and there are definitely Pettubers who don't take care of their animals. So there's that. So basically, that's all my opinions on things, responding to Jennifer Lynx's thoughts and also responding to some of Tyler Ruggy's. I didn't really want to touch on his too much because I felt like he went over them pretty well. And yeah, that was his perspective. I'm just kind of responding with my own perspective. And basically, how I think the pet community can do better is the larger influencers with more pets showing the messier sides of things, showing how long it does take for their daily routine, or showing, you know, cage cleaning, or showing enclosure redoing, like truly cleaning and maintenance, and the stuff that takes more effort, because I feel like we do glamorize pet owning and make it seem like this easy, fun thing, whenever in reality, no, it can be very difficult. And so yeah, I just think showing all of it, even the messy parts, even the not so fun parts, is the best thing we can do. So showing when their enclosures are messy and how we clean them, that kind of stuff, because you see that all the time in pet owning where their cages look pristine and clean, and you're the pet owner, and your cages never look that good, only on like the day after cage cleaning day or the day of cage cleaning day, and then the next day it's already a mess again, because that's just how animals are. At least that's how I feel, you know, where I watch guinea pig YouTubers and their cages always look so good, and even though for years I've spot clean twice a day, spot clean once a day, clean twice a week, clean once a week, you know, I've varied in how I do it, but you know, you go through that and your cage just never looks like theirs. It just never does. There's always hay on the fleece. There's always this, there's always that. you always feel like you're never doing enough, but I think if pet tubers were to show the whole of pet owning and how enclosures do really look and how everything really does work, it would really put in perspective how difficult pet owning is and the reality of pet owning. Anyways, guys, I hope that was a little bit interesting for you. Comment down below your opinions if you disagree with me. Again, this wasn't me trying to offend anybody or upset anybody. This was just a different perspective and my thoughts. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video there. Hope you guys enjoy. If you did, like, subscribe. If you didn't, then goodbye.